I'll hit record now
actually,
anyway.
what I would be interested in is like knowing how you got that screen because I'm gonna forget about it. So if you
Yeah,
could
no
just have
problem.
the
I'll go
instructions.
back. Yep, I'll go back and show you. But basically, the other things we'll look at we are genuinely comparing to find lap time. If it's not obvious where you're losing time, then we'd look at this, and I could see anywhere where the red line is lower than the blue line on the minimum speeds is where you're going slower than I was at an apex. So we can just figure that out. And I can see,
Yep.
like at turn one, you see your red line carries on. If I zoom in, the red line carries on longer down, and then we meet up at a very similar minimum speed, but you've reached that minimum speed quite early and then it plateaus, whereas mine comes down and then almost immediately starts going back up again. I'm only at the minimum speed for this point. So I'd say, okay, that's a trend. You see the blue line is like quite a sharp point at almost all of the... You've done well here, actually. That one's good. But you've just, again, overslowed it. But here, at the end of the long straight, I can see you've overslowed, plateaued, and then started speeding back up again.
And then started
That's
spinning. Yeah.
because that's exactly where I was trailing the brakes in that we were talking about.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
you've
Yep.
basically stopped it and then got the car in. But we'll go into this much. We'll use this much more when we're comparing. When you're really close to the pace and we're trying to find the little chunks. But I can see whether you're braking too hard, yada yada yada. So it's
Okay. And so if I wanted to go and
so
take
you can
the
look at this too.
MX-5. Okay. And if I wanted on iRacing to go to get the MX-5 on Okayama, do I have to set up my own? Do I do?
You can just do test drive. You can just click test drive and choose the
Oh
car
yeah.
and the
So
track.
these labs will still show up on.
Yeah,
I don't have to be on
yeah,
an
they'll all
official
show up.
session or.
No, not at all.
Okay.
They'll all show up here. Exactly. So I'll show you the way you get to this. So when you're in Garage 61, you've got your Teams tab at the top. So if you just hit
Yep.
Teams, Get Faster Faster, and then
Yep.
Members, if you wanted to compare against me, for example, you could
Yep.
then click on my name, and then Activity, and that will show you everything I've been
Activity.
doing. That will show you all the cars and tracks I've driven in different
Okay.
sessions. So today I did MX5. When you hit the arrow at the far side, that takes you to all the sessions I've done at that car and track today. So I've done an offline session. Oh, that was actually 3 weeks ago. But I've also done practice today. You can see that's actually got 11 laps. You can see what lap it was. So I know that's the session I want to compare against.
Yep.
Then you can hit practice. Then it shows you all the laps you did, whether or not they were best sectors or better than before, whether it was off track on that lap or whatever. And then I go to the fastest one, hit analyze. When I click it properly. Oh, it's offering me, because I'm already analysing this session, it's offering me a chance to do it
Oh
again.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
just create a new one, that's fine. That then just gives me my lap. If I wanted to do multiple, if I just go back to that one, if I wanted to compare multiple laps against myself, so I'll go back to the same screen. If it'll let me go back, come on, load. So I'll create a new analysis. When you hit this little settings cog up by the laps over here, that then lets you add additional laps to compare against. So if I add laps, you've got a bunch of filters you can fill in. At the moment, it's got personal bests highlighted. But if I click that and change it to include all laps driven, and then apply, that shows you all the laps I did, and I can tick a little box. So if I want to compare that 45.6 to the 45.7, they're going to be very, very similar laps, but I've ticked both of those. When I hit apply then, it gives me both of those laps with different colour. I can choose what colour that line is, but let's do red and blue because it's easy. Analyze selected laps, and now I've got those two laps, and now you can see those lines are basically overlapping each other because they're both me, and there's only 1/10 of a second difference between these two laps. So I could now then zoom in and go, okay, where is the time difference? Down the bottom here, under the picture of the track, is the delta line. So this is showing basically where I lost the time. So on the slower lap, I was actually up. I was faster in the first half of the lap. And I can see that I lost a bit of time in turn 2. Gained a bit back under braking for turn 3, but actually lost it in the middle. Gained back down the straight, so I must have got a better exit. And then from that point onwards, I was worse. The whole of the rest of the lap, I was slower in the second half because I can see I'm losing
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so you can look at like where the cursor is on the map,
Yeah, and
and
it all
where.
correlates.
Yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah.
can
Okay, very good.
drag. So if I thought, oh look, I'm losing 1/10 of a second in this sector, I can zoom in on that sector, and I can see why. I was at a lower minimum speed in the middle of the corner, and I wasn't on the gas in the middle of that corner on the blue line, whereas I was holding 14% gas mid-corner on the better lap. And that's really it. That's the reason I just carried more speed on the red lap. So, and if you hit view full lap, it takes you back to the full overview. So yeah, there we go.
Wow.
So it's really useful.
That's
it's a
super
brilliant bit of
useful.
software. Once you can save different analysis whenever you want, but it's really, really useful when you're used to how the software works. So I'll stop